a lot of people are really getting confused about what should I do right now? How should I react and how should I respond? People are taking away their titles, their jobs are at risk. And a lot of people are really trying to figure out, how do I do my work? What is it that I do? And I want to come to you today to give you a message about advocacy. What is it? How do you do it? Even in the face of fear, even in the face of trying to figure out my next move, how do I stay the course? And so I want to really dive into some of the issues that we're seeing in organizations and so forth. And even though we're living this life today, even though we're going through these problems, this isn't anything new. I just want to remind all of you who are born in this generation, who really haven't taken time to understand history, we've been here before. This isn't anything new. It's a new generation, it's a new day, but this isn't anything new. And so when I am talking about advocacy, when I am sharing with you about speaking up and sharing about something that you believe in, what I'm asking you to do is to dive really into your purpose. And organizations are being called to the front to really define what it is that they stand for, understand what they believe in. Because when we're talking about, as you all know, some of you know, I'm preaching to the choir here, that diversity, equity, and inclusion is never optional. It is about the core message of business. It's how we treat our customers. It's how we take our products and our services and bring them to everyone. So we all know, for those of you who understand what the core message of diversity, equity, inclusion is, we understand you can call it something else. You don't have to even call it diversity, equity, inclusion. The benefits of it are still going to prevail. And what does that include? It includes respect and really treating people the way that we know that we as humans wish to be treated. And so, what I want us all to get very clear on is, what are you standing for? Because this isn't about picking sides or putting other people down or dissing people or putting people in their place, because that's not where true advocacy actually lives. True advocacy comes from understanding this narrative, and I like to call a love narrative, a peace narrative, a narrative that says that there's absolutely no way that when I'm trying to put forth what I believe in, that your narrative is going to stop my narrative. And I want us all to understand that, because when you're in the face of fire, you can't fight fire with fire, right? All it does is it creates a bigger fire. And what we're all trying to do is get rid of the fire. But what we get distracted with is the noise, or getting distracted with this idea that you get to fight fire with fire, or try to take hate and throw it in there to try to get what it is that you want in return. That's a short-term strategy that certainly will result in you feeling good about something that you've done, but that's not true advocacy. Right? Advocacy is where you're really trying to get to the end result. Because anytime, and I'm just going to throw this out here, anytime you are trying to put down, like, and or taking your ego and puffing it up to make it seem like you're better than someone else, doesn't get us where we need to be. And so I realize a lot of people are tired, a lot of people are frustrated, a lot of people are feeling like they've got to remove themselves. And I say, remove yourself for a moment of time. Get yourself to a position where you find strength. Get yourself to a position where you understand your core purpose and who you are and what you stand for and your beliefs, and really begin to learn how to stand there without being removed because someone has said something to you, even if they try to remove your job, even if they try to remove your title. I want you to get to the point where you're understanding how to advocate in the face of that. And this takes something that involves a deeper practice. But what I want to share this with you because I feel like I've shared this on previous lives that I have felt what I would call a holy discontent. A holy discontent, meaning that when I was growing up and I was going to law school and I was really trying to find a way to advocate, but what I was doing, I was trying to take an evil away when what I thought this evil was a person. The evil, what I realized was that I was just mad because I wanted people to stop doing what they are doing. And I think a lot of us are in a position where we just want to stop doing that because that's rude and that's mean and that's disrespectful and evil. And it seemed as though when I was going to law school, I felt this in my heart that I was never ever going to get where what I wanted, get what I needed, get what I needed to help other people. And I was saying this in a previous live that I was always so angry and always so upset and always so frustrated in allowing other people to take away what I felt was just my inner purpose, my inner joy. And I remember this one time when I got a job at Dana Corporation, and here in Toledo, Ohio. And I knew that the customers for Dana wanted to have a person of color and they wanted to have preferably a Black woman in this job. And I took the job. One, because I realized I was qualified and I knew that I could do the job. But what I wasn't getting and receiving was support from the leadership. I took this position because in my heart, I knew that I could do an amazing job if I got the support. But I didn't get the support. I got the position, I got the title, but I didn't get the support. And you know what I started to do as I started to crumble from the inside out? I wasn't prepared to deal with the people talking about me behind my back. I wasn't prepared to deal with people looking at me as if I didn't belong. And I wasn't prepared to deal with my inner thoughts. Was I allowed to be here? Am I qualified to deal with this job? And I wasn't able to do the work that I know I was designed to do in that position because all the other factors were weighing on me. And I really want all of us to understand that when we get into these positions and we go in spaces where we feel like perhaps people are looking at us the wrong way, it is really hard for us to do the work of advocacy because there's an inner knowing, there's an inner belief that you have to have that you're qualified to be where you're at. And that is the work of advocacy. I was sharing here recently with a group of Central Michigan University students about the work of advocacy, how to be on the quest to protect freedom, justice, and democracy. To go on this quest means that you have got to work on what you are working with on the inside of you. Understanding that when you go into these types of fires, you cannot crumble under pressure, even though it seems like your livelihood is being stolen from you. There is something that happens deep within inside of a person who understands their depths of their soul and what they are supporting and what they are believing in and what they're even fighting for. And so I told them that what you have to do is work on you and understanding who you are at the core because someone's going to look at you the wrong way. People are going to believe that you don't uh, that you don't qualify for being where you're at, and they will break you down. And I want all of us to understand that the true work of advocacy is understanding how you can stand in the fire and not be burnt up. That is the true work of advocacy. And I've said this before, take the titles away. Take DEI. Don't call it DEI. You can call it something else. And I want us to go to our leadership, and I want you to go to the people that are, and if you are a leader, I want you to lean in. And I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you really do stand for? What is it that you want for your customers, for the people that are working with you, for the people in your community, for the organization that you stand for? What is it that you actually want? And I will tell you that if there's anything I've seen in this whole anti DEI streets that I found was profound, was when Costco came out with its statement. Did any of you guys get a chance to read that? And I want to go to some of my chat because I want to see that, sir, some people are here. Yes, yes, yes. The grand rising. Absolutely, Manuel. I want to read to you what Costco actually said in its statement. And it's something that I really want you all to know is where we need to be. Costco decided to stay and not remove its efforts, its DEI efforts, and instead came out with a statement. And I just want to read this here live. Costco said that our board has considered this proposal and believes that our commitment to an enterprise rooted in respect and inclusion is appropriate and necessary. The report requested by this proposal will not provide meaningful additional information to our shareholders, and the board thus unanimously recommends a vote against this proposal. They were proposing, of course, to get rid of DEI. Our efforts around diversity, equity, inclusion follow our code of ethics and reinforce with everyone at our company that the importance of creating opportunities for all is for everyone. And so when you really think about yourself stepping into this type of work, I want you to get yourself thinking about getting yourself to equipped to speak up for respect and inclusion. That's what I'm talking about. Getting your leadership to understand the true benefits for their employees, customers, and communities, and standing in this truth even when it's uncomfortable. You will likely find yourself losing a job. You will find yourself having a title shift or a title change. And I want you all to say that you are proud of standing on truth, even though it might make some shifts in your sense of security, right? In your sense of comfort, but still standing on this truth and not wavering from that. But the biggest position of power that you need to realize is your own. And that's the true advocacy that you should never, ever, ever let go of. And what does that mean? That means understanding who you are at your core, understanding who you are. What is it that makes you come alive? What is it that brings you the deepest joy? And I'm just going to say for my DEI advocates and my DEI folks, it's time for us to step into a new rising. It's time for us to level up. I will say this, and this might ruffle some feathers, and that's okay because this is what I believe in. We've gotten complacent. We've allowed a certain level of attention to this equity work and inclusion work to get to a certain level. And it's really up to us to remove the noise of calling it DEI and getting mad about calling it DEI and really beginning to look at not putting other people down in the effort of us standing for justice and equity, because DEI is for everyone. It's not specifically for a certain race, for a certain gender, for a certain type of ability and ability. It's for everyone. And when we can get at the root of our advocacy, when we can get to the root of advocacy and see that for all, then we will begin to see a shift change. And I understand from for a lot of us, we've allowed a system to control us. We've begun to believe that even government or companies or anyone can actually give you exactly what it is that you need, right? You need to understand that you have power within you. And a system, a company, they can't give you that type of power. You have to believe that that is the power with you. And my DEI people, we've gotten a little lax in that. We've got to really understand how we can give power to people so that we can change systems, not make certain that the system comes to a certain level. I know I'm talking deep. I know it may not be getting very clear. I'm just going to say this because a lot of people were confused yesterday with Kendrick Lamar's message on the Super Bowl because he was talking about advocacy at a deeper level of consciousness, really understanding that we've all been kind of like gliding in the system and taking in little bits and pieces of what the system can give us. And that's not where we are. We are at a heightened level of consciousness, my DEI people. Advocacy, it's not optional. It's something that we have to take it within us and understand how we have power within ourselves, how we can revise and renew and make a new way. And that, my friends, is what people are fearful of. They're fearful of the fact that you actually have power and that you actually can change something. So I want all of us to realize that that advocacy that I'm talking about is much deeper than any of us can see. Don't settle for the scraps. Don't settle for, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and take this title away. It doesn't matter. The title doesn't make me. This department doesn't make me. And this advocacy I'm talking about to you is deeper within your level of consciousness. So it's really understanding how you are going to position yourself. Get to the fact that respect and inclusion is really what we're looking for. That's what we need. That's what we want. This type of conversation and these types of conversations need to happen more often. And perhaps some of us are so entrenched in security and safety right now, it's hard for us to get to this level of consciousness, but this is how we're going to be continuing to speak on this channel. This is the work that we have got to consistently get to. And so the takeaway from today is, what are you advocating for? What are you planning on standing on? What power is behind your advocacy? Can you actually go into a fire and not get burnt up? Are you going to be fighting fire with fire? Or are you going to learn who you are at the core? Are you going to understand that you actually do have an innate power, a light within you to actually shift everything? Getting into conversations, not about titles, not about certain types of way that they look, but getting into a conversation about respect for everyone and inclusion for everyone. And that is the true work of advocacy. What do you guys think about this? Anyone have any thoughts? And I guess sidebar, was anyone confused yesterday with Kendrick Lamar's performance? It to me it was a piece of art. It was a work of mastery. And often the work of consciousness is a work of mastery. it's an art form. And this is what I'm hoping that we all can get down to when we are advocating for something that we believe in. It's not optional. It's something that we really have to believe is the core reason why we are living. All right, my friends. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be continuing to talk about passion. We're going to be continuing to talk about advocacy and working on ourselves at the core and really understanding how we can change what we need to change in our communities, in our work, and in our home. Join me next time. I look forward to seeing you then.